Welcome to the Worship Leader Hangout podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Davin is here on the podcast, everybody. Yes, sir. I'm so glad you're back. I've missed you, and he's eating right now because he's so hungry. So hungry. Just got home, just rushed to get this podcast set up, and he's hungry. So we're going to allow him to chew for a second. Thank you. Okay. Thank you guys for being here for real for another podcast. We have a thrilling show in line for you with so much on the board. Honestly, we have nothing for you. No, I'm kidding. But I want to ask Davin a question. Davin, do you remember the first time you ever led worship?
Yeah, I do. We started our jobs around the same time, at least not where you're currently at, but
no. Well, no. Yeah, you're right. Because I was only at the other place 2 years.
Yeah. But we started leading worship around the same time. So yeah, I remember, man. Because it's also around the same time we started YouTube. I was talking to that about Brooke this morning.
So you didn't start like really leading worship until you started at your church in California?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that would almost be like 10 years ago in March.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
February.
right.
So yeah, man, I remember it. It was from my audition.
Okay.
That was the first time I led worship. And
isn't that crazy? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, the first time I did, and first job, okay, wait, that's kind of strange. For your audition, and you still got, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
So I sent in all my auditions to the church of me playing the piano or me playing with groups.
Yeah.
I had some with larger churches at the time, or fairly large churches anyway, of me playing with different groups. So I sent those in, and they were just like, oh, yeah, we saw those. Those are cool. Clearly, you're a talented musician, so we just need you to lead worship on Sunday when you show up. And they didn't know I never sung before. And when I say never is not an exaggeration. I had never sung before.
You warmed up on the way to church that day for the first time.
So, man,
That's crazy.
that was when I really came out of the gospel background. And so
you went tie tripping on them.
Oh, I was trying to talk my way through that through the whole set, thinking,
come on,
that'll work. And
put your hands together.
Dude, the pastor calls me in his office after it's done, and he was like, what in the world was that? and so they were like, man, we just assume. He said, we assumed because you were black, you could sing. That's what he told me. Anyway, they did hire me because I was talented enough on the piano, and I think I did a great job there. But that was my first time leading worship. Yeah, from my audition for my first job.
That's hilarious.
Yours? What's yours, man?
That's like saying, yeah, the first time I ever built an engine was my interview for engine building at Ford.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So the first time I led worship, I was in high school because I didn't start playing the guitar until 9th grade. I taught myself starting Christmas 9th grade year, and then started taking my guitar to school and stuff. So I tried to get some, and I didn't like process all this then, but looking back now, like it was cool because I was able to start playing in front of people or, trying to impress the girls and this and that. And I knew I wanted to eventually play in church because I was already playing saxophone in our little church orchestra, stuff like that. And I started singing, and we talked about this before on a distant podcast about like the hardest songs we ever had to learn. And one of the hardest songs I've ever had to learn is on that podcast. Go check that out. So I had to lead that song. And I'll just tell you here, it was Trading My Sorrows. You remember that song?
Yeah.
And the reason why it was the hardest song is because I couldn't sing it and play it at the same time. So that time of leading worship was like kind of a breakthrough moment for me because that was when I was eventually able to do that. And so I led that song, and I led some others. I don't even remember what the other songs were, but I was asked to lead worship for a kids' time of worship on a Sunday morning, but in kids' church. But it was in our gym, so it was really strange. I still have dreams about this. It was in it was in our gym at the church, and we were just on one random corner looking out toward like that side of the basketball court, and the kids were out there, you know, and it was just like I had this microphone and a couple speakers set up, and that was it. And I led the kids, and I had a great time leading them because they had a lot of energy, and I had a lot of energy, you know, then especially. I was probably in 10th or 11th grade. I don't remember. 10th grade probably. And it was just a lot of fun. And I remember I'm pretty sure this was a Sunday that one of my best friends at the time, he was there. Pretty sure. Maybe I imagined it, but I'm going to go with he was there. Because I remember him saying after that, you have a way with strings. Like, you're good at playing strings, basically, is what he's saying, like guitar, bass, or whatever. Because I was trying to learn saxophone and be really good then, and he's a saxophonist. His name's Davin Pennicott. You can look him up on Instagram. He's really cool. He travels the world and stuff. But anyway, I'm very proud of him. That's why I said that. And I just remember him telling me that, and it meant a lot to me. And I could have taken it one way, like, oh, you suck at saxophone, which I kind of did, but I still played and tried my best. And or I could look at it like, well, I'm not as good at saxophone, but I'm getting better on guitar and starting to learn bass, and maybe I should just go this route. And so it was a cool, like, life-changing moment, if you will. And it was the first time I led worship, and I already knew that I wanted to be a worship leader. So it was just anytime I had an opportunity to lead, I led from there. Like, it was that
and
big
I think
moment.
That's the difference between how you got into it and I got into it. You know, I fell into it literally. Like, you knew this is what you wanted to do, but growing up in the Bahamas, you know, especially when I was growing up, you know, you could probably count with two hands how much people had full-time worship leading jobs. Like maybe, okay, there were probably a good number of part-time guys, but like to say, hey, we're doing this full-time, that was so rare to see.
Right.
And so the idea of working as a worship leader just was so foreign to me, you know? So yeah, I always think that's interesting how you knew. And for me, it was, hey, I want to go into ministry, and where is an area I can serve? And so that's how I got into it.
Yeah. And I believe I looked at it in a similar way of, I know what I want to do, but really, I guess I had like Jesus hindsight, because it was like all I know to do right now is to just get involved anywhere I possibly can in music, if that makes sense. Because that's what is going to lead me to being able to be a worship leader one day. I don't know. It was like, and I'm sure I maybe had mentors or something tell me this, but I just had this idea, well, I'll just get involved and accept as many opportunities as I possibly can, and we'll see what happens. And I did. And, you know, that ultimately led me, you know, playing bass, and then realizing I love the bass guitar and getting as good.
Wait, so how did leading worship cause you to start playing bass?
No, I'm talking about just opportunities to play and get good at music, because we had a need in our high school for a bass player, an electric bass player in the marching band. And I was like, yes, count me in. That's the only way I'm going to join the marching band, because I don't got to march on the field. Yeah. And that's, because I didn't care to do that. Not that I thought it was lame or anything. Like, I watched it and I loved it, but I just did not want to do that.
So you were looking for ways, okay, how can I just grow in my craft?
Yeah, be better. And
but all of it was to lead towards you being a worship leader.
Yeah, I mean, I knew what I was going to end up doing, but I guess I didn't let that stop. I didn't like take the path where I just was like, okay, I'm going to learn the acoustic guitar, or I'm going to learn the piano and only sing, you know, like just me, and that's all I'm going to ever do. Like I fell in love with the bass. I fell in love with, you know, just that musicianship world jazz, funk music, just hard rock. I was in a hard rock band. And I screamed a little bit in that. So it's like I fell in love with like different things, but I always knew in the back of my mind, I'm going to eventually lead worship. So this will somehow give me a skill maybe to make me better.
Yeah,
or just have something to talk about on a podcast.
That's cool that you still gravitated towards other genres of music, just being a musician, a good musician. And the reason why I say that is, man, there's so many musicians nowadays that I think are worship leaders, but they are horrible musicians. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
you can see it in the church sometimes.
And I think, I was talking about this with a friend, and I'm not saying you need to be a great musician to be a worship leader. No, I think you can be. I don't think you have to be a musician at all to be a great worship leader. I think you can be a great vocalist and be an incredible worship leader. But I think loving the art of music, I feel as though, is escaping a lot of worship leaders. Like, what a lot of worship leaders might love is, the notoriety that comes with it, or there are other things that they may enjoy about being a worship leader. But I sometimes wonder, like, do they love the musical aspect of it, which is an essential part. And for me, I almost wonder, like, if it's no, because, like, we're so content with singing Glorious Day the same way we've been singing it since it came out, like 17 years ago. Not really. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
and
I do. I really do.
I was talking to a friend about it, and, he was trying to encourage me, and I really do look up to this guy. He said, but I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't agree with what he said about this, but he said, he kind of sees like worship music as just kind of the tool to help people worship rather than it being like a good art form. And I think incredible worship leaders also understand like the art form of it, those are my thoughts. But
I would agree with that for sure. And I know that there are times where even just doing, a single run or like an entire band lick can be challenging in a local church, especially of my size. But I do select the music carefully to where it's like I'm not going to overwhelm those people. But I don't stop at a piece of music that has something somewhat challenging. I don't go, oh no, we can't do that, or pass by that, because that's just going to make us better, and it just makes the music more interesting to listen to. Yeah, we just did a song called "Endless Praise," and there are two like band run lick
From
kind
who?
of thing segments. Charity Gale, and
she came to our church.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
she
a couple months ago.
So she in this song. There are two band run licks or whatever, like the full band does it, except for like the acoustic guitar. And everybody has a slightly different part. It doesn't matter. But it sounds great together. And it happens twice in the music, and it's very like present, and like when the thing's coming, but yet, you still have to like, all right, here it comes. Like I'm in the talkback. All right, here it comes. And then, the track kind of leads us into it. But when you nail it, and it's like a Sunday morning church band, and most of them are white, and you nail something like that, like it feels so good. And like people are like, oh snap, like that was different. Like you get a different response, maybe even after the fact, from other musicians or from people that just genuinely like music. Like, that was great, good song.
Yeah,
because you're not willing to sacrifice, and just go dun 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 or whatever. Like, you can actually, I can't even remember the run now, but it's cool. It just makes it more interesting and more fun to play and challenging, and then that leads you to even harder songs, and then eventually you're playing like, if you're like me, I would rather play songs that are much more like through composed or much more difficult, especially as like a musician or bass player, because I enjoy that kind of music better. Gospel music is.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: what would you say to somebody that says, Well, like my friend, the guy who I deeply respect, he will say like, well, church music isn't for that. Like, it's for helping people engage with God, and it should be as simple as possible so that guitar players and keyboard players and anyone can just play the music.
Yeah.
And what would you say?
I totally respect that statement, but I would say, like, if I'm talking to him face to face, I would say I totally get what you're saying, and I would probably try to learn like what church you go to and this and that, and just say, well, there are plenty of churches that value, music as just a tool, especially if you live in the South. There's a church on every street corner. So I'm sure you can find something, that's going to lend toward that. And, but what you won't find is that your musicians, let me rephrase that. What you won't find is growing musicians in those kinds of settings. And because they become complacent, or that kind of setting attracts people that are just like, I just want to, play and never learn anything new ever again. And I'm not really about that. Like, we've had plenty of people like that here. But those are typically the people that kind of end up moving out, because I really do try to challenge our people. Now, not all the songs are like that. Not all the songs are hard at all by any means. We play a lot of very easy songs, and it lends to, just being like, a tool to kind of use for people to worship. But like, just like he's saying, but I definitely don't shy away from harder songs just because I can't track it, or I can't write out a chord chart for it, or I don't know. I don't want to call somebody like that lazy. I just wouldn't be afraid of it. I would accept the challenge, maybe try one a month that has something different in it. That's challenging to you and your people. Like, that was challenging. It's not hard. Like, when you listen to the song Endless Praise, it's just the run at the end of the chorus after the bridge, and then again later in the song. It's not hard to play at all. But as I'm singing, as I'm leading, or as for our brand new guitarist, like, I went over to the guitar. I'm not just trying to blow up my head here, but I went over to the guitar and I was like, this is what he's doing. I've never played this on guitar before. And I went, and I played exactly what it was. I was like, you can learn that. Like, I didn't do it in a way like this guy I have a relationship with, like, he wants me to show him. Some people, I have left my band because I've done that. But he's like, no, here, please show me how to do it. Like, he's dying for me to do it. So I showed him, and maybe the Holy Spirit just played straight through me on that. But I played it. It was pretty simple. And he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And he kind of, took a couple times and he learned it. And those are moments that I really enjoy, because you're seeing somebody get better. And then the next time we have something similar, he's going to maybe even be able to hear it out for himself and, play it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that kind of stuff. So I would just say, hey, try it. And, maybe you're coming into something new that you've never experienced before.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't hate on the person, though, that says that.
Oh, no. Like I tell you, man, the guy who told me this, I deeply respect, And he used to be a worship leader. And I've heard him play acoustic in many. I think he's more than solid. He wouldn't say that about himself, but, he knows a lot more than the average, like, guy that plays acoustic. So I think he's more of a musician than he realized. But, anyway, I guess there's a couple of reasons why I bring that up is because, lately I've just been incredibly, like, there are times when I'm like excited to lead worship, excited to engage with the people, help them reflect on who God is and respond to that. And as much as I can be excited about that portion of it, sometimes I don't find myself excited about the musical aspect, right? Like, are we really gonna sing this song again? Oh my goodness. Like, hey, here we go. And so I think music serves as a tool to inspire, right? And move you towards a place of responding to the glory of God. And if it's not doing that, then how do you find ways of, I think, inspiring you And then I think when you're excited as a person, as a leader, like that excitement can carry over to your people. And so it's just been something I've been thinking about. And also something else you said about raising up the challenge for your team. Man, I said, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not supposed to say, but oh well.
So your editor will edit it out.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chad. So raising up the challenge for your, raising up the challenge for your team. So I noticed that in teams where I have more difficult music and the music is more challenging, well, guess what? Those teams are a lot tighter in terms of their relationship with one another. Like, they don't want to break apart. They feel, honestly, more connected to the church. When I left my church in California and we really formed a tight team. I mean, obviously our team was always open to anyone that came on, but when you came on, you felt like you were working towards something of value every week. And I think we're working towards like leading God's people. I am not discrediting that, but we're also musicians at the same time. And we're working towards like music that we find inspiring. And I honestly feel as though that makes my teams tighter, like they're closer together, because it feels like they can't do it without the other people on the team, you know. And so not just and that's happened everywhere I've been. I think like you just feel this sense of, man, like we're accomplishing something of value here. So
that's so true.
Just some stuff I've been thinking on, because you know I really been, like I said, I'm on my 10th year, and for you, we talked about this the other day. You're kind of like, man, I'm good to go. Like, I could do another 40. And for me, I'm like,
about 40,
well, you know, huh?
I don't know about 40, but yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is cool. But, like, am I going to do something else at any point in time? Like, I don't know if I can do this for 10 more years, you know? But I think it's because it's just there's just a sense of, like, returning to the thing I love most, which was making good music that inspired people to honor God. And I think the good musical part of that has just kind of, you know, disappeared for a little bit. So
yeah, that's true. It can, because just because of the way CCM's written, it just, I don't know. That's one thing I like about Charity Gale, is that she embraces several different styles of music in her worship music.
Dude, I will say, at a point of, you know, feeling encouraged, when I think about groups like We the Kingdom, they get me excited. Like, I really like their music. You know, it just has a certain like flavor and touch that's unique in this space that we're in. And another group is Kane. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
They sing this song, I'm so blessed, hallelujah, I'm blessed. Like, I feel like that's a pretty solid song, you know? Like, I love it. So
every day's a good day, so let me tell you.
Yeah. So there is music out there that inspires me, definitely. But just
they're a little more country. They like lean more toward the country side of things. But I really respect them now. I don't remember the first song I heard from them, but I was like, oh, just another radio Christian song, you know? and then I heard something else of them. Okay, that's kind of cool. And then I watched the interview with them, and, you know, just kind of, I didn't really get to know them personally, but I got to know them, who they are and their story and this and that. I'm like, dang, he's a good singer. Oh, snap, she's a good singer, you know, and just like, wow, they're really good. They know what they're doing. But,
yeah. They really are talented, and they bring I think they bring themselves to it. And I think that's what makes them pretty cool. Like, have you seen them, the way they dress? Like, it's them, you know what I mean? Like, they're not in skinny jeans and a jacket.
Yeah, they're pretty out there. In this space. Yeah.
But they're them, and I think that's pretty cool. I think I've been gravitating to a lot of people who I feel like are themselves and aren't a copycat of somebody else. You know.
Yeah, that's why I liked Maverick City back when they started like really pushing out a lot for the first time, like in, what was it, early 2019 or so, when they emerged. I don't want to say when they started, because they all started long before that, like us, but when they emerged, I was like, man, they're not trying to be everybody else.
I'd say what's so funny about Maverick City is many people would say, oh man, like they're the sound of gospel. But I remember when, like, if that certain sound was considered like, okay, well, that's clearly CCM, right? Like, but now, I mean, people sing, everybody's singing them, like, and it's labeled as gospel music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really think that it's gospel music. I mean, it is, but it isn't at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like, it's not the gospel that I grew up listening to. And it's probably similar for you too. It's like, it's not quite gospel music, but it's
but
gospel musicians playing CCM, and it ends up like that.
Yeah, sort of, kind of, right? It's like, what are they? But I think that's what makes them cool, is that's them, and I don't think they seek to be, like you're saying, like they're not trying to be gospel. Neither are they trying to be CCM. They're just trying to be themselves. And, you know, in this new season for myself, I'm asking myself, like, okay, what is Davin as a worship leader? You know, like, rather than who the people I've tried to emulate for so long, probably.
Yeah.
That's another question I'm asking. Always asking myself questions, but
I mean, I'm kind of doing the same thing with, like, who am I as a worship leader, not even on stage? Like, who am I as a worship leader leading my team? Am I the cool guy, or am I the guy that challenges them spiritually? Am I the best friend, or am I a father figure? Like, I don't know. So I'm learning who I am, especially for different people. And I tell you, what's actually making more, what's actually taking us further right now is me being a spiritual leader rather than just trying to be a best friend. With the team, and also holding them accountable to, you know, the music and the lifestyle and the being on time and all the things, you know, just trying to, you know, raise them up, because a lot of my people are young, and they need somebody to be that. But a lot of the ones that were young are now, you know, kind of in their mid-20s, and I have to still stay weird? On them as well. Yeah.
Is that weird?
Yeah. I'm still young. I'm in my mids. What is that word? Starts with a T, H.
Yeah.
I don't know. Never mind.
Dude, it freaks me out that, like, when we started this, I was in my early 20s. 22. And now I'm 32. Like, I'm in my 30s. And when we say, like, a young person, and then we say, they're a young person? Like, they're a teenager? No, they're 20-something. Oh, man, that means I'm not 20-something. Like, it's just strange. It's just really strange.
Yeah, you're not. But, you're definitely not, man.
Yeah. It's just...
I haven't been strange for a while.
Yeah. But...
You know, what is strange, this is so off subject, is, like, wanting... So I'm still technically... this is my last year to be a young adult, as far as for our church, young adult age, college and career. And the past 3 or 4 events, the reason why I can't go or be a part of it is because of kids. And I'm like, I guess that means I'm not a young adult anymore if I can't just pick up and go wherever they're going to do whatever the young adults are doing. Because I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. You know what? That's fine. Because I don't want to go to a party that starts at 8:30 at night. I got kids, man. Like, I was like, dang, 8:30? Really? You are starting at 8? We couldn't start this at like 5:30?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's funny. I have fun with it, though.
That's exactly how I feel. I actually had to drop. I wouldn't say drop, but, you know, I don't get to play with them as much. One of the bands I was in when my boys were born, because that was it. Like, I enjoyed playing with them. It's not like we weren't making money or something like that, but okay, like, I have this responsibility that I can't neglect, and that just comes with the territory. And so it's interesting you know, okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What's something you would tell worship leader Chad when he was that first time
You
leading
know I
worship?
have this on the list for podcast, right?
Oh, I didn't know.
I have this exact question is on the list to do a
Well,
podcast about.
I'm asking now. So.
Okay. I'm just making sure you know. No, I honestly haven't really thought a lot about it, but I would say, let's see, what's the first thing? Just what comes to my head. I think what comes to my head first, the word kindness came to my head.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm talking to the brand new worship leader that is Chad Buckland, starting at Hastings Baptist Church, like as the guy that started his career as a worship leader, not the one before that, working with the team, this and that, I would say...
Hold on, stop. Is
what?
this church still called Hastings Baptist Church?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
I think so. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they are. I would say kindness. Like that will change hearts and take you further than all the other stuff you're worried about. Because it wasn't like I was mean to people. Like people loved me there, but it really would have helped here as well when I started here, because I did have an expectation that some of these musicians were better than they put on, like the week later when I actually did start. I was kind to a certain extent, but there were times where I just got fed up and just fed up with people. But I would just challenge myself, just go even further than you thought you needed to as far as kindness. Yeah, I'd probably say that. That would be the first thing I would tell him. Like, just chill.
Cool.
And then probably the second thing is you got to put in a lot more work than you think, I guess. Like if you're trying to achieve something, you got to put in probably double, triple the amount of work to actually achieve that thing than you think it takes.
Yeah.
Because there were times where I thought that the amount of work I was putting into a particular thing was enough, but then it didn't result in what I really wanted it to be. So I would say just work hard and then but also use the time when you're younger without kids to like try different things and get to know people and hang out with them in the evenings or whenever, like just build relationships and work on that. But also, build a relationship if you're married with your wife or husband, because that's so important. And I believe I did that. I feel like we could have spent a lot more time like elsewhere and like with people and getting to know people and stuff like that without kids. But that's okay. I would say we did okay, but I could have did more of that too. That's probably where I would start. And then I would have a lot to say as far as, you're not going to have everything you want within a year, within 2 years, within 3 years. So just work hard and continue to build. And thankfully we had YouTubers and other stuff in front of us to be able to see that pan out. Like, they used a little tiny camera first, and then they built into, eventually they had all the things that they dreamed of having, as a YouTuber or a musician or something. So just the constant reminder, like, you're not going to have everything you want, and not everybody has the same opportunity. So don't be jealous of that guy over there.
Yeah.
That took a year out of my life, being jealous.
Really?
Yeah. It took a whole year to get over, like, my church is 150 and his church is, I don't even know, 20,000.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
I guess I did experience seasons of jealousy, thinking I'm at least I think I'm as talented as that person.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they afforded more opportunities than me?
Well, God knows they can handle it, and he knows what kind of work they really put in behind the scenes.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I think what you're absolutely right, that God knows what they can handle. And I think certainly if I had gone down a certain path, maybe musically, it's possible I couldn't be serving Jesus now. It's possible like I might not have been faithful to my wife if I went on the road. Like going on the road was that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a worship leader. I wanted to be a musician and then ultimately write film scores, and so one thing I tell myself is enjoy the journey. You're not gonna, like you talk about, don't overestimate what you think you're gonna accomplish this year. Like what I'd say to myself is, think, hey, just chill out, relax, pace yourself. And that was something a young youth pastor, when I went to California, he came by the church and he's like, hey man, I heard, you're a youth pastor in town and just wanted to meet up with you. And one of our times in meeting up, he's like, hey man, pace yourself. Like we're trying to do this for the long haul. And obviously he was an older dude, not like hecka older, but he was way older than me at the time. And so that'd be something I tell myself is pace myself.
That's good advice.
And don't feel like I have to accomplish it all now. I think when I was younger, I was trying to do too much. I still think I'm trying to do too much, but at least what I'm doing is a bit more focused than when I was young and just trying to figure out stuff. And one thing you said, like what can you do before you have kids? Man, I love my kids. God knows I wouldn't trade one day in this world for not to have them, like they're amazing. But I think life before kids, I didn't take advantage of some of the opportunities available to me. And one of those was the opportunity to like travel and go to Europe and stuff like that. Like when those chances were there, I kind of like, I'll do it later. I'm into this thing right now. And that was one regret. So I probably also would skip my master's and go straight to seminary, like the first master's I got.
Okay.
But anyway, it is what it is.
That's great advice. That's great advice. Yeah, because I think we can tell ourselves those things right now. Because, I was thinking about this the other day, actually this morning. I was thinking about 10 years from now, I'm going to be 45. And then 20 years after that, I'm going to be 65. I haven't even been doing what I'm doing now for I've been doing it 12 years now. I've been at my church for 9. So I'm like, I got a lot of life to live. As long as God keeps me on this earth. If I die before then, whatever. But like, that's a lot of life to live, man. And so, pacing yourself, like, that's totally fine, because if you're supposed to go somewhere else or do something else, I fully believe as long as we are in a relationship with Jesus and we're in the will of God, like, it's going to be what he wants for us and what he's planning, like, and we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
What's weird is we're not kids anymore. This is almost like worship leader hangout, a reflection after 10 years, because that's literally what it is. Technically, it would happen in March, but that's what it is. Kind of like our journey as worship leaders from the first time to looking back. But it's weird to think like, we're not kids. Like, and I still think like, when you're young and you're 20, you're still a kid. Like,
Yeah. I even felt that too. And then,
Yeah, exactly. But now I don't feel that no more. Like, it's strange. Realize like we're young men thinking about like, okay, the future, trying to be a little bit more wiser, more godlier. How do we lead better? Those type of things. So yeah, man.
So yeah, you gave me advice today, and I'm going to take that for the next 10, and then of course after that. But I was just like, wow, that is so good. Pace yourself. Just don't try to do it all tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what just came to my head, I can't say, but like go home, enjoy your family, enjoy your life. And just wait, and then when you can have the opportunity to take the kids somewhere for daycare and you can work hard.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're home, like or when they go to sleep and if you have some energy, work on something, whatever. But
yeah.
Like that means a lot. Like when you're home, you're home.
You know what else? Now, I would tell myself this, but it's something I learned. Some things you just have to learn. Like, people can talk to you all you want. Like, you're not going to learn it until you experience the negative aspects of not doing something. And it is just the value of discipline and, waking up at the same time every day and exercising whatever days you exercise and making a decision about food that you eat and your finances. Like those things I would tell Davin, handle this now because it's you're going to reap the benefits later, whatever you decide to do. So I started putting in some of these practices earlier on in my worship leading journey. Wasn't always great at it, but I think now I get to reap the benefits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like financial decisions that me and Brooke made and you made. Like, goodness gracious, dude. I remember when you got out of debt. Like, that was a choice you guys made from early on before y'all had kids. And how old is your oldest daughter?
7.
Goodness gracious. So like,
well, she's about to be 8 in a few weeks. So yeah, that's crazy.
So just that thing, I would tell Davin to grab a hold of discipline as much as you can.
Yeah.
There's value in it.
I feel like I struggle with that sometimes, but we've done pretty good over the last 10 years, especially with our finances. And yeah, I mean, we get behind. I use an app called Every Dollar. I get behind on that sometimes, and whatever, but we still budget every month, and yeah, God still provides. We've had a low year this year, but God's still providing, and we have food on the table, and that's what matters right now. Yeah, a lot of new exciting hopes. Let me just say it that way. A lot of hopes coming next year. So I'm excited for where this channel could go. Is it definite? No, not at all. But there are definitely hopes, and I'm working with a new brand. I'm not going to say their name because we haven't done jack yet. So, and once we start, that's when I'll say their name and I'll be excited about it. But I am still working with Church Motion Graphics, and that is who is sponsoring this podcast today, by the way. So I'm excited about that. So thank you, Church Motion Graphics. Go check them out. We have a link below. You can, go sign up and get a little bit of money off. And if they may carry over their Christmas sale. So if this is after Christmas that you're watching this, check. You might get like 50% off or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, Davin, I'm going to end it right here. I appreciate your time. Thank you for being. I can talk to you all night. So, but it's like what 5:04, and I got to go home. 4:04 your time, but
exactly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I got to figure out what happened to these videos that I recorded, and if the audio was saved automatically, because I
hope so. And now, is that for your channel or for Worship Leader Hangout?
They were all for mine, and I was going to.
I'm so sorry. That sucks. Dang.
Yeah, it was 4 videos. Well, what I do is I try to. Man, I haven't shot in weeks. Brooke had COVID. Then a couple weeks later, she had the flu. I was working a lot, like literally 12 hours a day. So I hadn't shot in a while. So. What I do is I shoot 1 week. I'll shoot for like my channel. Then the next week I'll shoot 2 for Worship Leader Hangout. But
yeah,
that
and you moved too. Man. So yeah, and that's why there hadn't been a lot of your videos on the channel lately. So
yeah, so
it's all good.
Trying to anyway, trying to get my life back together. It will, though. Things are better. Things are always.
Hey, if anybody is still watching this, like, we are humans too, you know, like you can relate to us. So that's why you should subscribe and just follow this with us.
I saw you did channel memberships.
I turned it on just to see how to do it, and then I just left it.
Yeah, I saw you had,
but nobody. I've not said one word about it because I don't have any like benefits yet. Like I do, but I'm not there yet.
I think, you know, you've been watching Worship Leader Hangout for a while. Look, hey.
It's $2 or $2.99 for the base level, and that's really just to show some love each month. That's really what it is.
That literally helps us to like keep going. It's also an encouragement, like, and believe it or not, there are other people that it takes to run these things, and you know, they don't do it out of the goodness and kindness of their heart, right?
They don't. Like, they want that money. Well, I'm actually trying out somebody for editing. So for the people that did listen to this, like, you're hearing the inside scoop. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's lots of hopes for next year. Well, this year, but also, you know, next year. So I'm excited about that. And you'll hopefully start to see more regular on schedule content. Can't even say it. You'll hopefully start to see some regular on schedule content. It just makes me laugh because that is like the last thing I am right now with Worship Leader Hangout is regular and on schedule.
Yeah. Dude, I have periods where I'm like, I'm doing well, but the moment, you know, church always takes priority in my life.
It does. So, it has to if you're full time, especially.
Yeah. And so like once we hit like a really busy season, there's, you know, I only do stuff for both of the channels on Fridays.
Yeah.
So there's no way I can get to it once I have to give up a Friday for church, which I never mind. I'm always glad to be there. But that just seems to have been the case for the past couple months. So
yeah. Hey, it is what it is, man.
It is what it is.
We got to do what we got to do. We're worship leaders. Yeah. We work for a church, and and that's okay.
All right, bro.
But man. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Please like the video. And if you want to listen to our podcast, we're on Spotify and Apple and Google. And if we're somewhere else, I could care less. But we might be there too. So thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, great worship leaders are always learning.